Hey everyone, it's Mr. Silbaugh here. This is my take on Unit 8, Lesson 7. So, in the last lesson, we talked about geolocation, and it's a way for websites to use a person's location. There's many benefits to that, and location services are useful for many applications. A lot of the times that we think about now, like food delivery, that's one of them, tracking packages that come in the mail, all of that stuff is geolocation. But caution should be used here that it's a security issue that you're asking for someone's location. That's one of the reasons why there's a pop-up box to ask. So today's topic is drag and drop functionality. Drag and drop functionality allows a user to move one item from one place on the page to another by dragging it across the screen and dropping it in another location. The user can also drag the item off of the web page and put it into another application, such as Word, Photoshop, and more. This is one that I myself frequently use, is to borrow an image from a website by grabbing it, dragging it, and putting it into a Word document. This has to be enabled on a web page, and links, text, and images are all draggable. It uses what's called the drop zone, and the drop zone is the area where the item can be dropped. There are two kinds of drag and drop. There's dragging files from a user's computer on a web page, or there's dragging items to a different location within the same page. There are several steps. First, you need to specify the element you want to be draggable. Then you need to create an event listener for the drag start event. And then you add an event listener for the drag over and drop on any elements that can accept an item. So here's how it works. First, you need to define an element to be dragged, and you set that attribute to be true. So you have your traditional way of setting up your image. You have your image ID. It's helpful in order to create that so that you can know what image it is, but more about that in a bit. Then you have your source, your file name, and then you need to add the word draggable equal true, okay? And then add drag start, on drag start equal drag event, and this allows it to be draggable. Then you would set your width and height as normal. You use the data transfer to define the draggable element's data type and value. This is what you can add if there's a specific file attached to it. And it says here, assigning an ID will allow that ID to be saved in the data transfer to be used again and again after it's dropped. So as long as you add that ID and keep it consistent, you will be able to reuse that image and the data associated with it over and over again. Next, you need to define the drop zone. You have the drag over, the event when you drag something over, and the drop when something's dropped. So those are the two things that you need to work on and figure out what you're going to be doing. There are lots of reasons to create a drag and drop, such as downloading a file to your computer. That's most beneficial here. And you can even make it so a user can drag a document from the page onto the desktop. So if you need a program file, this is becoming more and more popular. In summary, drag and drop is useful for creating unique and interesting web pages, and it can be useful for downloading programs and data easily. Again, this is another API function that we're talking about here. This is stuff that you are not going to need to know off the top of your head. You just need to know that it's a function that can occur and that it's an option for creating an advanced web page. If you do decide to go into web design, you would learn how to do this more and expand upon it. For the lab, you will just create a simple drag and drop using the code provided, and all you need to know again is that this is just an API functionality that you can use in your web pages.